Welcome to the Garden Between Us, and unfortunately today we're talking about some devastating news. Down in North Carolina, right now, there's a raging fire going on a fertilizer plant. Now, this can be absolutely devastating for the whole community, but it's even more so devastating to everyone's health if we actually understand what's going on. And now, to understand that, we have to go back to why this plant has the potential of exploding. What's fertilizer? Fertilizer is not supposed to be something that's dangerous. Fertilizer grows food. The average person, I'm sure, will come to that conclusion. Fertilizer grows food. It must be green. It must be good. This, after all, was the fuel of the Green Revolution, as they triumphantly pass it off to the whole world. And ask India how that went and how hundreds of thousands of farmers have committed suicide because of the introduction of this fertilizer. That's how deep this stuff goes. So pay attention. What we have going down North Carolina is written by CNN. 6,000 urged to evacuate as North Carolina fertilizer plant threatens as ammonium nitrate explosion. Now, as soon as I heard fertilizer plant, fire, potential explosion, my mind, as someone who's trained in soil science and knows the chemistry of this, goes, oh, ammonium nitrate. The average person, they're not going to come to that conclusion. And even after hearing ammonium nitrate, okay, so what is that? We're going to go back in time to what ammonium nitrate is. Ammonium nitrate was invented, were first used by Haber and Bosch. So Fritz Haber and Bosch invented this process to make this fertilizer. They never intended for this to be a fertilizer. They intended it for warfare. Now, how so? So the process that they created was taking natural gas. We know natural gas to be explosive. We know that to be a fossil fuel. So if we hear that, yeah, that's explosive. Well, they invented a machine to pump it with even more hydrogen to create ammonium nitrate. So they're taking hydrogen, they're taking natural gas, and they're taking nitrogen to create this ammonium nitrate. And this ammonium nitrate, when combined with a fuel like glucose or sugar, so fuel, and other chemicals, boom, you can create all these explosions. I'm not going to go into all the details of how these explosions can occur, because that's not the information I'm trying to spread. The information I'm trying to spread is how this now relates to our food system. So it was created as this awful, terrible thing. And mind you, Fritz Haber is also the guy who made cyclone gas that gassed millions of people in World War II. He is responsible. His technology, this poor, oh, I'm just a scientist guy, created all these technologies that first were used to gas people. Second, he made the process that allowed such explosive damage to be cast all around the world. And then, after World War II dies down, they have all this ammonium nitrate left over. What do? Well, we can grow plants with it. Because, a couple of decades earlier, they realized, oh, plants only need 3 elements. This is the era of reductionist science. Let's see if we can find the basic components of everything. So when they're looking into cells as the basic building blocks, people were starting to theorize what the atom was. They're messing around with individual elements, really about this reductionist period. So they came with NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. That's all you need. Now, mind you, you get everything you need from the plants you eat, or you get it from animals who get it from the plants they eat. And they're reducing it to these 3 elements, saying that's all and you would need. Why is this so dangerous to be introducing this NPK thinking to agriculture and now this ammonium nitrate to agriculture? Well, we'll get to that. Economically, they thought it was great. hey, we have a surplus of a good and we can put it to a new purpose. And once they did that, they realized, wow, this grows more crops per acre. They got a boom. We're going to call it a boom. And that's what we call it in agriculture. It's actually boom and bust cycles. We got a large boom after using this ammonium nitrate as a fertilizer. So they kept going. They started introducing it to other parts of the world. And they were seeing the bust, and they kept selling it. Then they sold the equipment for it. So there's a huge global revolution on this. And that sounds great, right? More food will create a boom. So what actually is occurring? Well, the plants are now utilizing this ammonium nitrate as their primary nitrogen. And nitrogen is the building blocks of proteins and all of this. Without nitrogen, you don't get actual growth. And this is the actual growth, the organic structure. You need the nitrogen. And we're gonna go science, and we're gonna go some theory here. When you're using an ammonium nitrate that goes boom in the soil, you add that ammonium nitrate, it's going boom because the plant is putting in sugars, so it's got a fuel, and then you're putting ammonium nitrate. So on a micro level, you're getting a lot of boom. And also, you need carbon. Carbon's also used in a lot of these explosives. You need sulfur, you need phosphorus. Well, those elements are all in the soil. So on the small scale, you're actually exploiting a lot of things. What ends up happening, they kill the life in the soil. So now we have lifeless soil. That's well documented, well understood. And it's interesting. It's well understood by a university professor, but they're blind to the fact that we need to stop using it and need to transition. It's like, yeah, that's what happens. But there's little reductions box. So we cause a lot of little explosions. Just as we bombed countries and people and devastated millions and agreed that's a terrible thing to do, yet we do it all the time still. We're doing that to our soil, to where our food comes from. So their whole idea of, hey, we'll take this bad thing and turn it into this good thing, growth, agriculture, actually they cause war on our food system. We eat our food, so they cause war on us, on our home soils and soils across the world. We kill the life in the soil. And now the microorganisms that used to make nitrogen for plants, they're gone. The other plants' life, they kill them that used to produce nitrogen. Well, their bacteria are dead. They're killed with herbicides, so they're dead. Now, what universities are still teaching is that plants, they actually prefer this nitrate form. And some like it, some like the ammonium. They prefer this nitrate form. It actually flows into the plant the easiest. And that's how they say they like it the best. Now, it's great. If you're a fertilizer company producing ammonium nitrate, that's great. That's what you want to be taught. And this is being taught. And while I was in university, we would hear occasionally that, tomato plants actually like to pull up amino acids. Turns out a lot of plants like to pull up amino acids. What is an amino acid? It's a nitrogen compound already formed into an organic structure that are the building blocks of protein. Everything in our body uses amino acids as the building blocks. Our DNA is made out of amino acids, and so on. Well, how do these amino acids get formed? They get formed by the bacteria. They get formed by decomposing organisms. And they get broken down not to ammonium nitrate in the soil, but they get broken down to amino acids, and the plants, with their roots, can actually take that up. So we have replaced that structure completely with this stuff, with something explosive. When we used to get the organic that would come up, we replaced it with the explosive. Instead of something that brings together. That's the polarity that we're swinging at. That's what I want you to see is we introduce something that goes and destroys and pulls apart and causes carbon to go off into the atmosphere, just breaks apart these microorganisms. It's like pouring salt on a slug, just breaks them up. Because the process then is hydrolysis. It's going to pull water apart, and it's an oxidative reductive reaction. Oxygen is going to go in, it's going to carry things, and it wants to hold on to the light, the hydrogen. That's the basic things. Oxygen carries and hydrogen goes. When you have something like ammonium nitrate, it's going to go and do that. It's going to pull from organic structures. It's going to pull from the soil. So we're pulling out the water. We're pulling out the life. The amino acid living-based structure, you're not having that oxidative environment. You're having this living structure. And we're having living things get broken down in the soil, and then there are components going into the plant. Less work by the plant and more integrity to the plant. And then we're able to eat this food with more integrity. Comes down to integrity. And then we can be people of integrity. I know I have handsome features and all of that, and yes, there's genetics absolutely to play. But the foods I eat have better structure, more integrity, because they're in the system. So as I've been built up over the past 10 years eating this food, I've been made up with food of integrity. Our bodies, every 7 years, new cells. So I am a new person that's built up food of integrity. And everything that functions within me, too, is built up that integrity. And that's what I'm looking to protect. And that's why I do not support ammonium nitrate as a fertilizer. And this example of that explosion waiting to happen is an example of a reason we need to wake up. It's not only what happens on this big scale, but what happens on the small scale is the same. If we don't like these big explosions that are going to kill all these people, we shouldn't like it on the micro scale. As above, so below. We should not tolerate it. Absolutely no tolerance for it. That doesn't mean we go, oh, stop using it, you're dirty, you're bad. We need to transition over. Everything's a transition. It takes time. If you're a death environment, you need time for that. Coming back to the center. So we're using this explosion. And I'm going to now relate it to other people's body types who eat all this explosive food. So I'm lean, I'm compact. I have a smaller frame than other guys who weigh the same amount. I'm compact. My skin is tight, I'm compact. So I'm an example of what someone who's compact, structure of integrity from the food I eat. Now, if you're eating this explosive material, when it goes in a plant, they say, God, we got bigger yields and bigger plants. Yes, we did. But they were more expanded. They were this explosive. So when I was talking about this hydrolysis of the water, so boom, yeah, it's taking it, then it pulls up and it holds onto water in the plant, expanded forms. It modifies the molecule of the water as well. Plenty of studies coming out on how the molecules of water can be damaged. Certainly putting a salt in it will change the structure. So now we have, it's a bigger head of corn, a bigger tomato, but it's packed with water. It's packed with ammonium nitrate, it's packed with nitrates, rather than packed with amino acids like lycopene in the tomato. So it's packed with these this chemical version. And then that chemical will go in us. It's the same salt that explodes in bombs, same salt that kills the bacteria in the soil, same salt that causes the plant to swell up, maybe make more calories, maybe. It's not as densely caloric, but there's just more mass, and in the end comes more caloric. And then we eat that. Our cells too will now expand, filled with this explosive chemical. It's non-organic, inorganic. And look at people today. They're massive. They're expanded. And they're like, I don't know how I got this way. I'm even eating healthy and I'm still this way. Well, you're eating conventional fruits and vegetables, conventionally fed chickens and cows. Um, can't even get into all the other things that contribute to this. You're eating this explosive chemical. Boom, of course you're blowing up. Of course your blood pressure is going through the roof. It's not the sea salt that you're using. Something I always tell my mother, you can have sea salt. It's not the thing raising your blood pressure. No, it's all this explosive stuff. It also has to do with blockage of the chlorine in your renal pathways. Chemistry. You're eating something that's explosive. That's what I want you to get, is that you're eating something explosive. So of course you're going to explode. And you have less control when there's more area. Then you have to have more, if you have a bigger house, it's harder to clean. It's harder to take care of that whole entire house. If you have a small, if you just focus on your room, it's easier to manage and take care of that. So if you have a huge cell, it's harder to manage. You're going to fill it with more waste. It's going to require more energy to do it. And everything's lethargic, and you don't make as much energy as someone who has healthier cells. Yet you need more energy per cell. So yeah, you're going to be fatigued. You're going to be lethargic. You're going to be in this oxidative state. Things are breaking down. The hydrogen's being taken and not being given back. There's more oxygen combusting and oxidizing all over the place, as it does when it explodes, as it does when it goes in the soil, as it does in your body. And you're not being told that this is the chemistry of the molecule. This is the chemistry pathway of this molecule as it goes through the plant into your body. Absolutely not would I offer anyone a spoonful of ammonium nitrate. I'm sure nobody would eat it. But when we put it in the soil and goes up the plant, then we'll eat it. You will smoke marijuana that has the stuff in it, and it messes with their head. This is where we are at. This is the problem. And when you understand this concept of what you start with in the beginning is what you get on the end, you can start understanding a lot more. So we need to focus on the integrity of the entire system from beginning to end. We need the life from beginning and completely going around, no end to the cycle. Not this linear growth that just explodes and then dies. I'm sure that's not the average take you have on these fertilizer plant explosions, but I hope more eyes have been opened to the need to change, the understanding of what's really going on, so you can articulate it yourself, so you can begin to think about the actual consequences. If you are a gardener, if you are a farmer, you can begin to think, oh, that's how it's going in the field. Now I can apply it to other things. That's what this video is intended for. And I hope you have gained something valuable from this. And I'll see you next time. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any other points to this, if you want to help add, it would be super helpful if people put resources, actually. Imagine that, people put resources. Oh, here's where you can find some of this information from, and help build the collective knowledge pool and be, forming tight instead of trying to be explosive in the comments. And I think that's another thing, why people are so explosive nowadays on all these things. Our food, they have no integrity. It's who they are. And if you want to support this channel, the best way is to go to shroomsofstability.com and buy something that's going to help build the integrity within your body. And root and mushroom coffees, they are calming on the mind, easy on the stomach, yet they give you all the energy you need for the day without the caffeine anxiety or the upset stomachs. So grab a bag, and that's the best way to support this content. And then you get supported, and our integrity builds, and it's a reciprocal relationship. Thank you for joining us in the garden between us, and have a nice day.